Ooh, that looks tasty.
Do you know what the best thing about ancient China is to create a board game out of? Gunpowder? No. The Silk Road. Absolutely not. The Great Wall. No. Banking. Okay.
Welcome, folks. Today, the Hungry Gamer is back with another Kickstarter preview, and today we are talking about Pingyao, first Chinese banks, published by Jing Studios and designed by Wu Shong. And I do apologize if I said any of those names incorrectly. So before I get started, please make sure you turn on your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any rules mistakes, that's where you'll find the corrections. And also, I do need to point out that while this is not a prototype, this is the Chinese printing of the game, as this is a game that is being re-released outside of China for the first time and is the first in the Chinese Cities series. How many of those games there are, I'm not sure, as I've only been able to check out this one. So the final product will certainly look a bit different than this, but it is the main idea and roughly the same. So what Pingyao is, it is a Euro-style game with dice worker placement and a bit of engine building, all wrapped up into one very, very Euro-y package. And the history behind the game is the city of Pingyao was referred to as ancient Chinese Wall Street, at least according to the historical information that came along with this copy of the game that I have. And if you are not interested in how this game is played, just want to jump ahead to my final thoughts, then you're going to want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game is played. So what you see here before you is the main board. However, each player will also have their own player board, which looks like this, and on their player board they'll have a couple of saichi, being these silver ingots here, and each player will also start with a single level 1 bank branch opened, and they get to place it wherever they want up there, and they'll have a saichi on there and a saichi in their reserve. And you're going to be using this board to place out your banks as you open them up. You'll be using these little spaces to mark where you have managers working in your banks, which give your bank special powers and let you put more money in your banks. Over here, this is where you may or may not be taking out loans from someone else. You take out a loan, you'll be tracking it with your little meeple for how many turns you have it, and then the sites you come up to here, and up here you can give loans. Yeah, you might even take out a loan and then give that money out to somebody else and actually just make money on money that's not yours to begin with. All very bankery type stuff. In addition, over here, you'll be taking out what are called remittances. And a remittance is, again, this is based on my reading of the history given in the rule book, is a remittance is what would be done in the Pingyao region, where if you didn't want to travel with a bunch of money, you would go into one bank, deposit a whole mess of silver, they would give you a note, and then when you got to the location you were going to, you'd go into another bank there, you'd give them the note, and then they would give you money back. Of course, they would take a fee. And that is also something that you can do in this game. And I'll talk about that very briefly later on. Now that you potentially understand that, what's going to happen is on your turn, you will roll your dice. And then you'll take them and put them over here on the side based on the number that you've rolled. Now, each of these dice represents your bank managers that you have that are going to be able to carry out actions for you. And so you'll see here, I've rolled for 2 players. And I will also point out that at the beginning of the game, you would actually have one of your D6s locked over here, and it opens up on the 3rd turn. What's going to happen is on your turn, you'll start over here, all the way down here at the 6. Whoever has the 6, they go first. If there's ever 2 players at the same number, when you get there, whoever is the first player for that round gets to go first. And so then you pick one of these 6 locations that you would like to activate. And I will also say that the first few turns, these 2 locations here are actually blocked off, but that doesn't matter right now. And so what you're going to do is you'll pick where you want to go. And each location does something different, as you can expect in a worker placement game. Here, you're going to be hiring managers. Here, your fame is going to go up. The more famous you are, the more interest you're able to charge. This is where you open new banks. This is where you either take out a loan or give a loan to somebody. This is where you get to bribe the local governments into giving you special favors, and up here is where you take remittances. What happens is, depending on the number on your die, it changes how powerful the ability is. So up here for a 5 or 6, I have to spend 1 coin, and that allows me to increase my fame by 1. However, if I had put down a 3 or a 4, I wouldn't have to spend any money and my fame would still go up. Or if I had a 1 or 2, I could spend 2 more coins, but then I'd be able to raise my fame by 2. And you see how that works. For the loans and remittances, the lower the number, the longer you get to have those remittances or loans out. When you come to here, the lower the number, the higher level bank branch you can open. When you come to here, it may cost you money to get a manager. It might just get you a manager, or it might get you a manager and allow you to move some Saichi around between your different banks. And then over here, it's going to determine how much extra money you have to pay in order to do that bribe. And I'll just point out that when you do that bribe, you pay a Saichi and then you get an ability that unlocks for the rest of the game, and they are all pretty powerful. They might give you more money when you take out a loan. You might get more money and interest out of Saichi in your various level 1 branches, and so on and so on and so on. The other thing that I really want to point out here is this is a game that does not block you from doing something else. So for example, if I'm right here with a 3 and blue wants to go, and blue would like to do that action, they're not blocked. They can actually go there and move me out of the way. However, they're going to have to pay the difference in coin. So they would have to pay 1 coin to the bank in order to move me out of the way. Now, at the same time, if somehow they were able to put a higher number, they would get paid that difference. So if they had a reroll and they wound up with a 6 and they put that here, they would actually take 3 coins from the bank and then do their action. And that's actually the core of the game. You're going to play through 8 rounds doing this, rolling your dice, moving them around, taking your actions, and either paying money to do the action and move them over, or getting paid money to be able to do a potentially weaker action. And as you're doing that, you'll be moving up this fame track. And as you move up the track, you get things. Your loans are worth more. You get new branch managers for free. You get to look at more remittances, or you just get points at the end. And I'll say that these points here are cumulative. So if you get to the end, that's 6 points. And then up here, every time you take a remittance, you're moving up this track. And again, it makes your remittances pay out more, and eventually it gives you a bunch of points at the end of the game. Now, that's actually the core, but I do want to show you how a couple of these things work on the player board, because really what I showed you is not going to make a ton of sense. So here, we have our player board here. We'll just say I have some Saichi in the bank here. And so if I were to open a level 2 bank, I have it here, I can place it out, and this level 2 bank, for every 4 fame I have during the income phase, I'm going to get another coin, assuming I have unlocked that ability by putting a branch manager on it. But if I open that, which costs coins, and then you have to have enough Saichi to go in there to be your initial funds, now I have another bank open. And let's say I'd opened a level 3 bank at some point. And the level 3 banks are going to give you in-game scoring bonuses. In this case, for every 5 fame I have, I get an extra point. Again, assuming I have unlocked it. And then I want to do one of those remittances that I keep talking about. Well, the way that works is you draw your remittance. And again, depending on the number that you rolled and used, determines how long the remittance is good for. But what's going to happen is it's going to tell you where you're going to put the money in and where the money can be pulled out of. So in this case, if I just slide this over here, that'll help. So in this case here, I can put a single Saichi into a yellow bank, so I could put that there. I will point out that I actually wouldn't gain extra interest on it, because you can only gain as much interest on the number of Saichi on the tile unless you have a bank president there who will allow you to have more. But I could put one there, and then I'm going to have to take it out of any red branch that I have. To determine what that is, I place a cube here, and then I'll place a cube on a red branch I want to pull it from. So I could pull it from here if I wanted, and that would mean I would get paid more money right now. But of course, eventually, when this remittance is done in another 2 turns, I'm going to have to take the cube away and also take the Saichi away. Or if I wanted, I could take it out from up here. And as long as by the end of your turn, whenever this cycles off the bottom, you have the Saichi there, you're going to be fine. So you can actually have no Saichi there, up here, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, and then the last minute, the last second, do something and get a Saichi there just so it can go out. That's perfectly fine. I wanted to show that one simply because that is one of the more complicated things in the game, I think, to really understand just by listening to. So then after all of that, you'll get your income. Income's very simple. You take a look. Do you have any loans out? The loans are going to pay you more or less based on your fame. You get all of that. Maybe you have an ability at a bank unlock that's going to give you bonus money each round. For example, this one here, for every 4 fame I have, I get an extra coin. So we'll just say that I was at 8. So that would get me 2 coins just for that. And then I would get my interest from all my Saichi in the bank. So I'd get 2 for this. I'd get 3 for each of these. So that would be 11 total, assuming I had someone there. And then down here, 4 for each of these. That's another 12. So I just got 23 more coins, meaning I just earned a total of 25 coins right there, which I can then use to put right back into my business and get more banks and whatever. And then, of course, there's also the Golden Pawner expansion. And the Golden Pawner expansion is interesting because what it does is it literally changes everything. You suddenly use this board instead. And not only do you use that board instead, you have this little sideboard that comes on to help manage your pawn shop. And then you're dealing with all of the different things that are in there to be pawned. And you have these extra tokens here, which are new ways to earn money and new ways to benefit from your remittances. And that matters because not only do you have all that, but you also have an entirely new board that does something different. Now, not only do you have the remittances, but there is no remittance track. It gets tracked a different way. And when you give out loans, you have these loan cards that you're dealing with. And I already talked about that you're building pawn shops, and this track down here has different bonuses on it. And then there's these certain government quests that you're able to do. So not only can you go bribe the government, you're going to go up here. And depending on what you've built so far, you get to get extra points from that. And it is a completely different game. So, what do I like about this game? First of all, I like the way it looks. I thought initially oh, this is kind of a drab looking board, but when you look closely at it, it's very, very pretty. So I appreciate that. I like the components that come with the game, at least most of them. These Saichi, these things are amazing. I love these things. And these apparently just came with the retail version, in the retail Chinese version. And these coins, those coins are great. And so that's just very cool. I like the way the cards look, the tiles, and all of that. It's a good looking game and it's fun. The components are nice enough that I like to play with them. And the next thing I'll talk about is the theme. And based on what I read of the history behind Pingyao and what I know about just simply how economics works and banking works, which is not much, but I know a little bit, I have to say the theme actually comes through. The way you're making your choices and the way that you spend money here, and you got to spend a whole bunch of money here, but you spend that money to make money. And that's kind of all economics 101. The idea of I'm going to borrow money from this person, I want to pay them a little bit of interest, but then I'm going to loan that back out to this person over here who's going to pay me more interest on mine than I'm paying there. So really, I'm getting money for doing nothing. And then you have the historical bit of the way the remittances work, and then you're using that to move the Saichi around on your player board. I think it all works. This game does one of the better jobs of realizing its theme in a Euro game than almost any other Euro game that I have played. Maybe not the best, but it is definitely up there. But that's not what you really care about. What you care about, I'm assuming, is how does it play? Is it fun? And to answer those questions, I'll start with, is it fun? Yes. And I cannot believe I'm saying a game about banking is fun, because if you know me at all, you know I like fantasy, sci-fi, and adventure, and danger, and things like that, and this is banking. Wait, let me try that again. Maybe I can make that sound cooler. Banking. 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 See, none of that sounds exciting when I say it, but oh my gosh, the game is fun. And what I think makes it fun is the way the dice worker placement goes. It's not just that you're rolling the dice and the dice have a different power level based on the number, but if it's a weaker die, it goes faster. Yeah, that's interesting, but that has been done. What really makes it work to me is that a space is only actually blocked if the exact same number has been played there. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It's either it might cost you a coin to do it, okay, or if the stars align right, you're actually going to get paid money to take that action. And that, to me, is awesome. It is such a delightful puzzle to decide where it is you're going to play your dice out based on the dice that are already there. And in the solo game and the two-player game, the board starts seeded with some dice already. So it's not just a carte blanche, do what you want. And I think that is an awesome, awesome puzzle. And to go along with that particularly fun puzzle, this particularly fun puzzle is just great, especially, and I have a huge mess here, but that's okay, especially when you start dealing with the remittances, which are just so much fun. And then you go down this remittance rabbit hole as you're playing, and then suddenly you wind up doing this thing where you know that, oh geez, you have to pay a Saichi out of here later on, and you don't have anything there because you've been reckless with your money. So what do? Oh well, obviously I'm just going to take out another remittance later, so another remittance, so then I have my money there, and I'll just pull it this time out of this one. Well, that's great. Oh, well, I have one there. That's no problem. Well, I had one there. So, I might as well just, oh, I don't know. Let's go ahead and we'll take another remittance. We'll get a Saichi over here. And oh, well, there's stuff there. I'll just take another one out of there. And you're doing this thing. You're just moving all this money around and you're making money off the money that's not even yours. And it is just ridiculous. And it's so satisfying when you have that moment and you figure out, oh my gosh, I have no Saichi to my name. So I'm just going to take some remittances and I'm going to move all this money around. And I'm just going to make money and do nothing with it. But it's the puzzle of figuring out how to make that work that is so very satisfying. And all of that I like. And I have not even started to talk about the solo mode. And I don't always talk about the solo mode, but I'm going to because I really like it in this one. Because what it's done is it's not a beat your score, which is my least favorite type of Euro game solo mode. It's not even what's one of my favorites, play against a bot that works very, very quickly. Instead, what happens is you get one of these story cards, and the story card tells you what it is that you have to do to win the game. So on normal, on this one, you have to get 11 remittances. You have to open 2 level 3 banks and get 30 points. And then each round, you're going to be flipping over one of these cards, and that's going to seed the board with stuff which is going to be blocking you in some way. And then it adds this little event here to where, in this case, if you give out a loan that lasts for 2 months, you're going to get 2 extra fame. And it's super, super simple. It's a very, very fast to play the solo game, and it is hard. It is so very hard to accomplish those goals and figure out how to play in a way that will let you do those things, because sometimes it's opening up a whole bunch of banks, sometimes it's getting remittances, sometimes it's getting a lot of fame, and you never know what it's going to be when you start, and then you have to try to puzzle out how to get there. And then if you finally get to where you can do that consistently and you're good at it and you're able to, no matter what happens here with the dice, whatever kind of rolls are all out here, all on the board, if you're finally able to do that, you can just go to hard mode. And it's even harder, and it is an awesome puzzle. I've played 6, 7, or 8 times. I've yet to win, and I want to play more. It is that much fun. So all of that I like, but I have not even talked about how much I like the expansion mode. The expansion mode is a little bit heavier. It's got some extra stuff to it. It's got with the addition of the government jobs you can do here and the addition of the pawn shops, which have a little bit of a different way of making money, a little sideboard, and they're cheaper to open, but they can make you less money in interest, but you can have things in there that you're pawning and those make interest, and it's this extra level. And you guys, it is so good. It is so much fun. I really like the base game. I thought, wow, this is just a delight. This is fantastic. But you know what? I think I like the expansion version even more, at least for playing solo and playing with people who are used to Euro games. But if I'm playing with someone who doesn't into something very heavy, I am perfectly happy playing the regular mode. I think both modes are really good because the mechanics, they all work, they are tight, it plays quick, you don't spend a ton of time staring at the board thinking about what it is that you want to do, and it just all really, really works. So, what are my quibbles with the game? And I only have a few. And the first one is I wish that there were even more of those stories to do. Now, as I said, I've played a whole bunch of times and I'm not remotely close to being tired of them, but I can see eventually thinking, these are the only ones I have. I want to do more. So I'd like to see more of those. I think the game comes with 6, so I would not be surprised if that was some kind of stretch goal that you can get. I also think that in the expansion, I do wish that there was some variety for these quests up here. Maybe some tiles you can put down over top of those, again, just to keep every game even more varied than before. But that's all kind of window dressing quibbles that I have. The only legitimate quibble and legitimate warning that I have to give people has to do with the fact that this is still a game that has dice rolling in it. And though it's not an Amera style game where you decide what it is that you want to do and then you roll the dice to see if you can do it, it is still a Euro game where, yes, there's that randomness of rolling the dice that all happens and then you puzzle out what you want to do after the fact. You respond to it. You're still rolling dice, and it is possible, I have seen it happen, where you just don't roll what you need to roll, and there are times when you can't do anything with your dice. You're just stuck, and you have dice that are dead dice. They do nothing. Or the brand manager for this, when I played against him, he was telling me that he played a game where he just never rolled anything lower than a 4 the entire game. And if you never roll below a 4 the entire game, well, that locks you out of a lot of different things. And while the expansion has a little bit of mitigation to that, and a lot of the branches that you open will have powers that let you adjust your dice, it is possible for that to happen, as with any dice rolling game. But honestly, folks, that's it. That is Pingyao and the Golden Pawner expansion. I don't speak too much in hyperbole on the channel because if everything is great, then is anything really great? Not really. But I'm gonna say this now, and I've only said this, I still think, under 5 times. I think this is a great game. I think if you like Euro games, you are doing yourself a disservice by not backing this and by not getting this one, period. I think this is one of the top Euro games of 2021, assuming it actually delivers in 2021. And I know it's early. Obviously, it's not even in the calendar. It's not even 2021 yet. But right now, I put this right up there with Merchant's Cove as a Euro game that I would play without hesitation. I want to introduce people to. I think this is going to be a huge hit amongst anybody who picks it up. And I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to reiterate that I cannot believe I am this excited about a game about banking. Maybe I've been playing too many Euro games. I don't know. But man, it is good. It is fun. It is hard. It's always a different puzzle. And I really like it. And you should too. So there. But that said, if you're not into Euro games, then you've probably already stopped listening. And if you're not into the Euro game that has that bit of randomness with dice rolling and dice worker placement, then maybe it's also not the game for you. But there you have it, folks. That is Pingyao, First Chinese Banks, and Pingyao, the Golden Pawner expansion. As always, if I made any mistakes in the basic rules overview, please let me know in the comments with the timestamp. I'll get that into the Klingon subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.